All right, Big 12, Kansas and Oklahoma State. We've got Kansas 3.5-point road favorites, 57 the total in this one. This should be an interesting game. Oklahoma State, give them credit, man. That against Kansas State last week, dominant effort, and really, really bet a strong game from their defense. You know, that's about as bad as you'll see Will Howard play at quarterback for Kansas State. He was rough in that game, but you do have to credit the Oklahoma State defense. They get a 29-21 win against Kansas State in that game as 11.5-point home underdogs, which tells you that beware this Oklahoma State team as underdogs. You know, Mike Gundy's still got that ability when he's catching points to come up and get you. And that's exactly what they did to Kansas State last week. And credit to the offense. Like Mike Gundy's been playing quarterback musical chairs, quarterback carousel all season long. He's finally settled on Alan Bowman, and Alan Bowman gave him a nice, steady, he didn't light it up, but 235 passing yards, no mistakes, took care of the football, relied on Ollie Gordon II, Jaden Nixon running the ball, which they were able to do against Kansas State. So definitely positive signs for Oklahoma State beating a pretty solid K-State team. Can they keep it going, though, here in this game? They are at home again, facing Kansas, maybe facing Kansas with Jason Bean once again at quarterback, because Jalen Daniels now, he got injured he was out in the Texas game, didn't play against UCF last week, although I find it absolutely hilarious, all the money poured in on UCF in that game. Thinking, oh, Jalen Daniels isn't playing, let's make UCF a road favorite at Kansas, that strong home field, and people acting like Jason Bean is a piece of shit, a piece of crap quarterback. Well, hold on now. I know he struggled against Texas when he came.
Can he hand the ball off?
Yeah, exactly.
He can do that. 400 yards on the ground.
And they ran the ball, and I knew that was an area where they'd be able to have success, run the ball, because UCF doesn't have a great run defense at all this year. And so I just found it was a ridiculous overreaction to make UCF a road favorite at Kansas just because Daniels is out. And sure enough, Kansas rolled them in that game. This will be a little bit more difficult. You know, they're not going to roll up those rushing yards on Oklahoma State's defense. Oklahoma State has given up a respectable, 4.3 yards per carry. The run defense isn't great, but I don't think they're going to run it nearly as well as they did against UCF. I just don't know, though, getting 3.5 with Oklahoma State. And I know Gundy as a dog can be really, really good time to bet him, but I just don't think this gap to me between these two teams is still larger than 3.5. So I'm not saying I'm going to take Kansas, but I'm leaning that way a little bit. And I don't know if Oklahoma State, with the ups and downs I've seen from them, are they capable of 2 good games in a row? Like, that was a terrific game against Kansas State, full marks. Can they do it 2 weeks in a row? I'm not sold they can. So nothing for me as of right now in this game, but I think I would need more than 3.5 to consider the Okie State side. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, I think so too. In this one, Bowman, you didn't make mistakes, which was solid. And I think what Oklahoma State needs again to maybe win outright is those turnovers. Can they get Bean to turn the ball over? But, like last week, he didn't have to. He was 8 of 12 or whatever he was, and he just handed off for 400 yards. It was easy. I still think they'll be able to run it on Oklahoma State. But on the road here, I lean to Gundy a little bit, and I haven't loved this Oklahoma State team all year, but I'm looking that way.
All right, looking toward potentially Oklahoma State. There is a little bit of a strength of schedule advantage for Kansas. Oklahoma State, really their best opponent probably was Kansas State last week for Oklahoma State, where Kansas has played BYU, Texas, UCF. Pretty good teams there, all of them. Illinois was supposed to be good. Not so much, but I think a little strength of schedule advantage to Kansas. We'll see if it shows up here, that Kansas really been battle tested here early in the season.